Hey everyone, my name is Matt. Welcome to PharmNerd. Got some more news for you today. First, an article about chocolate and memory. Next, a new vaccine approval. And finally, a new oral anticoagulant drug. First, let's talk about an article published in Nature Neuroscience regarding chocolate and memory. Or at least that's how it was billed in the mainstream media. This article studied adults aged 50 to 69 and randomized them to either a high-dose flavanol diet or a low-dose flavanol diet. Those in the high-dose flavanol group were instructed to drink 2 cups of cocoa a day for 3 months. At the end of those 3 months, everybody in the study was given a memory test. The test asked the study subject to look at an image for 10 seconds. Then after a 1-second break, they were given 2 images to look at and asked which one matched their original image. Finally, they were shown a series of images and asked whether or not the image shown matched their original one or not. The test measured how long it took for a subject to look at an image and then give a correct answer. The study found that those in the high-dose flavanol group answered the question correctly more quickly than those in the low-dose group. The study does not comment on whether or not those in the high-dose group answer the questions correctly more often. So while I think this is an interesting article, I don't think it's enough for you to start adding a whole lot of chocolate to your diet, certainly given the calorie content of most chocolate. It's also not enough to add the 2 cups of cocoa a day, but it certainly is a good starting point for another avenue of research on how to improve aging memory. Second, the FDA gave the green light to a new vaccine this week. Trumenba is the first vaccine against Group B meningococcal disease approved in the United States. The currently approved vaccines Menactra, Menveo, and Minimmune are active against the serogroups A, C, W135, and Y of the bacteria Neisseria meningitidis. This new vaccine is especially important given that there have been several outbreaks at universities in the United States of Group B meningococcal disease. Now there is another Group B meningococcal vaccine currently in the process of approval. That vaccine is called Bexsero and is currently approved in other places in the world. Finally, an FDA advisory panel recommended the approval of another oral anticoagulant drug this week. The drug edoxaban, brand name Savesa, is a direct factor Xa inhibitor. This new drug would join other medicines like rivaroxaban and apixaban with the same mechanism of action. The drug was studied in a non-inferiority trial against warfarin for the prevention of stroke and systemic embolism in non-valvular atrial fibrillation patients. The trial looked at a 60 mg dose for patients with normal renal function or mild renal dysfunction and a 30 mg dose for patients with moderate to severe renal dysfunction. The most interesting thing about this study is that they analyzed patients with normal renal function and mild renal dysfunction separately. And patients with mild renal dysfunction responded better to edoxaban than did patients with normal renal function. This left the advisory committee wondering if the 60 mg dose was a high enough dose for patients with normal renal function. So there were several recommendations by the committee. First, the FDA could approve only the 60 mg dose for patients with mild renal dysfunction and require the drug company to investigate higher doses for patients with normal function. The FDA could also approve this drug studied as is, the 30 mg dose and the 60 mg dose. Both doses were technically non-inferior to warfarin. There was also a statistician that recommended the approval of a 15 mg dose for those with severe renal dysfunction, even though this dose wasn't studied. It will certainly be interesting to see what the FDA does with the committee's recommendation, although I think that approval of doses not studied at all in the original research is probably the least likely outcome. Those are all the news articles I have for you today. I really appreciate you watching this video and I hope that it was informative for you. If you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, and if you want to see more from me, make sure you subscribe. As always, if you have questions for me, leave them in the comments. Also, if you see news articles you really want to make sure I cover and talk about, leave those in the comments as well. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.